Basically, what we're trying to do through this policy brief on humanitarian issues is highlight what is happening in Sri Lanka at the moment. When you look at some of the statements coming out from the international community, plus also what is happening in terms of the local human rights groups and the humanitarian actors, is that they're highlighting that there is a humanitarian situation in Sri Lanka and that there is a need to address it. What we wanted to do was to bring together a whole range of issues and put it in one policy brief to highlight what is happening and to put together also some of the work we've been doing across the last year or even the previous 2 years through our fact-finding visits, where we go to certain areas like Patiklo, Mana, Kapdigolava, Trincomalee, and where we go and talk to some of the affected communities, some of the groups who work with them, and some of the agencies and government officials, and try and get a sense of what is happening really on the ground, not what is being reported in the media or what is being told by agencies in Colombo or in Geneva, but to find out what is happening on the ground. And so that's what we're trying to do through this report, is to bring together some of these issues and put them out there and say, look, we need to address them. Just to touch on one issue, one thing that we really want to highlight is who is an IDP, because the government does have official status of registering IDPs and saying this is a definition that makes you an IDP, and we want to highlight who are the people who fall through the cracks, be it people who go and stay with friends and relatives like in host families, or affected communities where people might not be displaced from their homes, but every night for a number of months they will go and stay in a school night after night. And we want to highlight and show that we shouldn't just get focused on IDP figures. We need to look beyond that and see the other issues, like even affected communities, of how whole communities that they can't sustain their livelihoods. They are too frightened to go out and farm in a certain area. And what that does in terms of families, in terms of malnutrition, what it does in terms of gender-based violence, and a whole range of issues like that. So through this report, we just want to highlight it and try and point to also specific cases where we can, to say this is where we've come across it and this is why we need it addressed. The primary audience of this report is the policymakers. That's both in terms of the government and also the international agencies and the national actors like human rights groups, other local NGOs, to say like there are issues where we can make some impact, where we can address the issue. For instance, centralization. Why is it that so much decision making is made in Colombo, and why is it being imposed in a very top-down manner, when there are local communities who can be consulted, they can be involved in projects, and we can also make sure that we don't repeat some of the problems of the past, that we don't aggravate local tensions, problems between communities, be it of different ethnic communities or just communities of other places. So that's what we want to try and do in terms of this report, of trying to highlight key issues and also encourage policymakers to really address and move forward. During this time, we are also seeing the visit of the UN Special Representative on the Human Rights of IDPs, Walter Kalin. So this is a useful point for all of us involved in this work to also have a conversation and a discussion about what is happening in terms of these issues and what can be done. And hopefully this will be a constructive process that both the government and the international community and local actors will be work together in order to highlight and then work on these particular issues and try and get through some of the bottlenecks.